Supreme Court justices will hear a lawsuit by Mexican leaders against a U.S. gun maker. So Smith & Wesson brands versus Mexico surrounds the Mexican government's claims now that gun makers in the U.S. are allowing gun violence by drug cartels. Leaders claim that the gun manufacturers are allowing the illegal firearms, which in turn allows for attacks against the Mexican government. Mexican officials are now looking for Smith & Wesson brand officials to cover the cost to stop this violence. Joining us now, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. So the fact that this case has made it all the way to the Supreme Court is very intriguing. What can you tell us about the argument?
Well, it tells you a couple things. It's filed this lawsuit in 2021, but you're talking about the amount that they're asking to cover the damages, $10 billion with the B, not with an M. And so they're asking that America get access to, first of all, them having standing to bring a claim against these gun manufacturers. You have to remember, that's the baseline standard, that gun manufacturers are extremely immune from these types of things for being vicariously liable for the actions of a person. Basically saying, I buy a gun, I go shoot someone, they have immunity, protection from being a lawsuit being brought against them just because I use their specific brand of gun to commit this crime. So that's the first thing you'd have to pierce. And so the folks that are bringing this claim, specifically Mexico, is saying that we're able to pierce that for a couple of things. First of all, they're saying that it's knowable, that's foreseeable, and that's one of the standards, but that they're also the proximate cause. Not just that we're involved with these cells, but they were directly distributing and targeting these individuals specifically involved with the cartels to give access to and promote this type of violence. And they're saying that they know that this is something that could have been avoided, but they were encouraging it. They enlisted a couple of things. I listened to oral arguments. They were saying, well, you have 3 guns that were specifically rolled out that were targeted towards the cartel. One of them, called the Super El Jefe, was, and I listened to their attorney come back. The gun manufacturers took offense to that argument, saying that just because we name a gun, a firearm like that, that means that we're disregarding the other law-abiding Spanish speakers that are currently in the United States. There was a nice, interesting back and forth, but I'm not sure where the judges will land on this. I think Alito and Thomas, I think they will lean towards the gun manufacturers, but everyone else during the argument seemed like they were 50-50, and they were really open to hearing both sides and wanted them to walk them through how we get there.
I mean, the case, Khalif, is so intriguing, I think, because, again, you're saying, hey, you're making these guns for these cartel members, and now they can then use their guns on the Mexican government. I mean, how can you prove that? I guess that's what I'm saying in this case. Is there precedent here? But that's a lot of connecting the dots.
It is. It's a lot of connecting the dots, and the connecting of those dots is extremely important. This is like any other negligence case, and I've walked it through with you a number of times. We have the ABCD of negligence: a duty, a breach, causation, and damages. So they talk about there's a duty, there's a breach, but this ultimately will fall on the causation, the proximate cause. But for me selling these guns, would this have happened? And that's why I talk about that foreseeability. They've argued that not only did you know, you should have known that you sell these guns, you target these Mexican cartels and advertise towards them that they would have a likelihood of being used down there. But they're also saying that they've aided and abetting, and the court broke that argument down as well. They're saying you're making the allegations, you as in the Mexican government, that these manufacturers have aided and abetted. Why? How did they aid and abet? And they pointed to something called PLACA. This is protection against lawful commerce in arms act. They're saying they violated that, and because they violated that, now they've aided and abetted in this gun cartel fight.
I know you have it there in your notes. What was the name of that gun again?
It was called the Super El Jefe.
So my thing is this: you calling it that, just as you pointed out, you know, is there a crime in that they could be able to place the blame, because now you are calling it, you're branding it, you know, now for a certain, what looks like to be a certain group?
I think the gun manufacturers had a good response and said, look, they took offense to that. I think on the other side, there was a good answer saying it's not just that alone, but it's the totality of the circumstances. That's one thing in the ring to say you guys are actually knowing that these guns are being used by the cartel.
How do you think it's going to play out?
I'm not sure.
You see, you always give me that at the end.
It's
almost
hard.
Like I feel like I know which way you're going.
Sometimes I can leave. I can't guess it on this one. They didn't tip their hand enough.
Well, we'll see today, won't we? All right, Khalif Rhodes, appreciate it. Your insight as always.